Okay, so I met a woman named Gwen, and she follows me on Instagram and found my flyer for an art show in a coffee shop. Went immediately to the art show when I wasn't there, got my information, called me, and bought these. We have since talked on the phone, and Gwen is super cool. She makes little dolls. And so we're here tonight not only to deliver 2 paintings, but to talk about dolls. So yes, we are here.
Oh my God, I'm sitting. Don't record! We're recording. Okay. Oh my God, hugs. Come here. Oh my God, you're so great. Come here. It's all yours, buddy. I'm just gonna put coffee and water in there and mix it a little and put it on the stove.
So,
Right now?
yes.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you.
It's
for
my
having
pleasure.
me here
Thank you for coming.
tonight.
Here's some
great.
Turkish delight too.
Oh.
I mean,
You know, it's funny, I totally wanted to use your little needle to like...
stop. Like a toothpick. Just eat it up. I should have brought toothpicks. Crying out loud.
No, we should use felting needles.
I know! It's much better. We can. Here.
No, that's gonna be a mushroom.
It is going to be a mushroom.
This is gonna be a mushroom. It's not gonna focus, I'm not gonna worry about that.
A tiny mushroom.
Okay, so you were starting to ask me something.
I was
that thought
asking you
important.
something, and it is important because I feel, and you know my struggles in calling myself an artist.
Mhm.
It's.
But we can't pretend that I know that stuff because...
Oh, I have to actually say.
No, you can say
Oh,
that.
so this
You
is like
can
the first
say-
time you're
No,
meeting
but-
me, kind of?
No, it's not anything. It's just...
Well, it is
they
the
wanna
first
know.
time you're meeting
They
me.
want to know. Well, yeah, it is, huh?
Yes. Sorry, and I can't look over there, huh?
But you can look anywhere you want.
Raw. This is raw.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, this is special to me. Like a giant hug.
So you said that you have struggles with calling yourself an artist.
Yeah, I do. And even though my background's in art and so on and so forth, it's like, you know, there was a project when I was at Chico. The project was The Tyranny of the Ego. And, you know, how much we need to have our ego because it protects us and or, you know, pushes us forward, but it also contributes to our arrogance and that really limits us in our spirituality, and I could go off in a big way on that. But, so me, for myself, I'm sort of like, am I allowed to call myself an artist? I think I'm a creative. And what is an artist? And am I making myself vulnerable if I call myself an artist? And now I have this show coming up next month at the Art of Toys, which are these little monsters. Yeah. That's right.
We're not big enough to plug anybody.
But I'm telling you because I want you to be there. Because in a minute I'm going to forget that all of this is here anyway and we're just having a talk. But I hope that you guys can come. It's on the 7th of July if you're around.
Of course.
And so, but you know, now I'm like compelled to make art. And I think that, of course, getting permission from someone, validation from someone. Is a real thing. Yeah. Like talking to you on the phone, you realize you're like Madonna to me, right, Phil? I mean, it is what it is. And you're like, let's talk about what makes an artist. And I know I shouldn't be talking about this, but I can't help it.
Yeah, why not?
So I want to know, how does it feel for you when you're about to put a show on the wall? Or when you're about to enter a reception and know that you're going to have to talk to people about...
Well, I think it's interesting that you already brought up ego because in that realm, I have plenty of ego.
Can we get a high 10?
We talked about, you know, how I met Amy, my wife. And it was being an artist, and she was an art model. And I got such a charge at the time out of drawing and painting in front of other people. If I was alone in my studio, fine, I liked it. But if other people around, I'm like, yeah. You know, like the time is
see this,
now.
You guys?
Yeah, this is for you. No, not so much. You know, I don't want to say that I was aware of it and tried to keep it at bay because that sounds even worse.
I feel like that sounds better.
Does it?
Oh, I think so. Because if you have self-awareness, it means that you're looking in the mirror and you say, "Hey, buddy, yeah, I know you got it," which means that you can sort of, you know, say okay to it. I know I have it, and also know when to use it and not. But you're not like completely tyrannized by it. For instance, like, oh, I don't know, Stalin.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And in school, we had to write an essay about ourselves as an artist. You know, I had an instructor who was really big on, if you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to come in and do it for you. And that was a really hard thing to do, to sit down and like, okay, who am I and what am I about? And the sentence that stuck out to her the most was that I feel like I am very confident without a lack of humility. And so that kind of like trying to stay in that humble place, but coming back to what you asked, is that when I'm getting ready to put together a show, or, you know, show myself, put myself out to the public, yeah, I get very nervous, like anybody, right? If you're human, you probably do get a little scared, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm always ready for it, excited that I'm having a show, looking forward to people seeing the work, nervous about having to be an extrovert.
Do you consider yourself an introvert?
I would say so, yes.
Okay.
In fact, it's funny, I've had conversations lately with several different people about being an introvert with some extrovert qualities.
An ambivert, that's me.
I've got to give credit to my wife, Amy, for for bringing that to my attention, because I'm like, that's not a thing. And then I'm like, wait a minute. That's me, you know? And recently talking to somebody at work about this, and I was like, it is a real thing, and people don't believe it, you know, because they're like, but you're so good around other people. And I'm like, yeah, but that takes so much energy.
So much energy.
And then you're exhausted. You're
and
just
you have
like
to recharge.
Spent.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find myself faking it. Because I have to, because you're in that kind of environment. Don't you have to do that once in a while?
Yeah. And actually, the conversation that I had yesterday, you know, the way he put it was perfect. He was like, being an introvert doesn't equal socially awkward. And that's where people miss, you know, the connection. They're like, well, you're not socially awkward, so you're not an introvert.
That is really true. But I do feel like I am once in a while socially awkward, and then I end up bumbling things and feeling, you know, having the fears after, oh my gosh, why did I say that, you know?
Well, and because you're always in your own head, that, you know, you're talking yourself into how weird it was, or why did I say this? Or,
it's true.
We're getting way off topic.
Well, I mean,
well, having to talk. If I know I'm going to have to talk to people for an extended period of time at an art show, then yeah, I get a little bit nervous about that.
and while you're showing your stuff, I mean, and talking about it, there's a certain amount of vulnerability. And I mean,
Oh, yeah. It's all
having
on the
gone to
line.
art school, as I did also, you know, critique day, nightmare. A nightmare. Mike Bishop, who is a wonderful sculptor, had us make something that was, you know, luscious and questionable. This was the assignment in a 3D design class. And I thought I had nailed it. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome, you know, gloss and then a Barbie head, sure. And I brought it, you know, and I brought it to class.
Starting to make sense.
Right? Even, and I look back on things, I'm like, huh, you know,
Yeah.
like the intro to Your
Yeah.
Starving Artist, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
fill a doll head. I don't think I don't see that, buddy. You know, but that critique day, it's so specific in my head. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I feel, because I'm open. Here I am, and people are like, but you stink.
Yeah.
They weren't
Did
really
anybody really say
exactly.
that?
They weren't really saying that you stink. What they were really saying is, you could have done better, or you could have done it differently.
Yeah.
Which is exponentially different.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's an interesting arts question.
Well, it was just, I think, artists speaking intellectually about the work sometimes. It's not like, oh, I would like to see it this way. It doesn't mean I wish you would have done it that way all
Yeah.
the time. It just means like they're really looking at your work, and the brain can't help but to, especially as an artist, to think like, oh, I would have done this. That's a good thing if somebody can do that with your work, I think.
Exactly.